Hey guys, done with Laughing Lotus Wellness. Welcome in. We are here tonight. We're going to do a little thing. We're going to visit first about my trip to Sedona. Would love to share a little bit of the story with you guys. Share a little show and tell. And so that's kind of fun. I haven't really gotten to share any of the things that I purchased and picked out and things like that, and tell a couple stories. And then we're going to go in and do a meditation. And it's the same meditation I did in Insight Timer on Monday. It's live, so it's not recorded, so I'm going to give you guys a version of that as well. I will tell you I won't do that every time for you guys, so the reason that I say that is that it's still really useful to come and do those Monday morning lives if you're interested in engaging in that. If you're not, that's fine. Like, go on with your bad self. If that's not something that you're interested in, that's fine. If you do want to join us, it's a different energy. For sure. So as I do this today, I will tell you guys in a minute, I'm actually going to record. So I have all of my podcast gear sitting over here that you can't see off the camera. And I am going to record it. So once we go into the meditation, it's going to be really like in meditation. Okay, so we're going to kind of keep it a little bit more formal because I'm going to create an actual recording of that so that I can download that onto Insight Timer, so that if any of you ever want to go back and use that, it's in the library. So I love adding those in and trying to be savvy and working smarter, not harder, right? So we're all a fan of that. So that's what I'm doing here tonight. So I want to start with just talking about the trip to Sedona. It was such a spiritual journey, and so I'm just going to reflect on a little bit of that for you guys. And I started writing out the newsletter for everyone, and I was like, oh, this is me reflecting on this story. And it's funny, I was like, I just didn't even think about, oh yeah, that's right, I really haven't had the chance to digest this anywhere. So I'll just spend a little bit of time talking about that, and I think the significance for myself, and just hopefully what I brought back. And I think a lesson that I learned. So for me, I had wanted to go to Sedona really bad, and this fits with flow. So I love this topic because it's really closely connected to my wanting to go to Sedona and feeling like it wasn't the right time for my family to take a vacation. We have a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of working parts. We're building a studio in my backyard. For those of you that are close to me, you already know that, but I'm building a studio in my backyard. There's a lot of stuff going on. And so Zach was like, yeah, I'd love to take a vacation, but it was really a bad time, blah, blah. So I didn't think I was going to be able to go at all. And I really have a struggle when I feel called. I kept feeling called to go to Sedona, which I know for some of you are going to be like, what? If by now that's shocking to you, dear Lord, you're probably for sure in the wrong place, because that is nothing compared to the rest of the stuff that I usually say. But I kept feeling like I needed to go there. And so usually I'm like a dog with a bone. So typically my MO is to force it. We're going to go on a vacation, somehow find a way to make it happen, even if it's really not the right timing or the right situation. So in talking to Natalie, who's one of my best friends on the planet, I was talking to her about that whole thing, just feeling like I really wanted to go, but that it really wasn't the right time, and And so I just had to write it off. I had to do a very hard thing for me personally. And so if anybody relates to this, please give me a shout out. It's really hard for me when I think that something's going to be important for me or part of my journey, and particularly spirituality stuff. That's really heavy for me. That's just weighs on my heart. But I was like, okay, we are learning to go with the flow. We are learning that the world will show up. All the things show up in due time. And I really believe this 110%. So if you're newish to me, that is 100% the way that I see the world. And so I was like, it's okay. You're going to need to let this go, because it'll happen when it's meant to happen. And it wasn't very long. And Natalie sent me a text and was like, hey, I found some cheap packages. Want to go for my birthday? I was like, yes, please. So that was miraculous, right? So it's that when you're being called and then the opportunity presents itself, yes, I still have to make the decisions, but it's really cool to me that even though my family didn't feel like it was the right timing to kind of get everything to fit just right, that I was still able to make that happen. And that's when we're living in alignment, when things are supposed to happen, the opportunities show up like that, which is always my favorite, because I get super lit up about that alignment and that vibe that you get when everything that's supposed to be coming in for you comes in for you. It's just ridiculously magical, right? And that's how I felt about this trip. So I feel particularly blessed that I got to go and spend this time there in Sedona, but two, that I got to go with Natalie. And I want to speak to that. Well, there's several lessons here, but I want to speak to, there's something so redonkulous about going somewhere on a journey like this with someone who vibes it. And I want to say Zach and Chloe would have gone. They would have been great sports. We would have hiked. We would have enjoyed the shops. We would have done the things. It would not have been as engaging for them because it's not the thing they're passionate about. Okay. They would have tolerated it for me and it would have been fun, but it would not have exactly been the same journey. And what I want to tell you is that when you're going to go take a spiritual journey of sorts, I strongly encourage you to think about who you're going with. And if you can, find someone that's as lit up about this kind of stuff as you are, because there is nothing like experiencing it with someone who's just as joyful and just as reflective as you are. And one of my favorite moments, and this is going to sound super goofy, we had this beautiful healing on Bell Rock. We did this wonderful meditation guided by a healer there. It was so powerful and beautiful, and I had this really cool experience. And I know Natalie did. And for me, one, we had this incredible healing, both of us, obviously for different things, and we shared about that. We processed when we were done. It was super cool. But I think one of the neatest moments was, and I know this is going to sound goofy, and I don't think I said this to Natalie, but I was sitting across from her at coffee. We went and did this event, and then we went and grabbed coffee and breakfast, and we're drinking these incredible coffees, and we're in Sedona, and the sun is shining, and it's so beautiful outside, and we're all lit up because we're just super blissed out because we came from this incredible healing. And she's sitting across the table from me, and bless her ever loving. We are both the biggest nerds. I'm also a proclaimed nerd, but I look over there and she's got all of her markers, her pens, her colored stuff, her journal, and she is just drawing pictures. And I was like, it just lights my soul on fire to see her be so in the zone and so wanting to process this journey and this experience for herself. That's the coolest to me. And there's nothing like sharing those moments with someone. Like, we will never, ever, ever forget this trip together. Ever, never. And so, one, we laughed so hard. I seriously, about 3 occasions, thought I was going to throw up. I was laughing so hard. That's a whole nother story. So I just want to encourage you to think about this. And sometimes it's important when we go do things with my family. Like, I can't wait to go on a hiking trip with my kid and my husband. Like, that stuff lights me up. So we have a whole different kind of experience, right? And I'm not saying ditch your family, right? You need all of the things. But it was neat. Like, Natalie had never been on a girls trip in her life. And she was like, oh my gosh, this is the first like woman friend trip I've ever done in my life. I'm like, oh girl, there's no going back now. Now you're screwed, because now you know what it's like. And there's something magical about going and not having to watch everybody, not making sure everyone's okay, not making sure everyone's fed. It's kind of this beautiful space where you just get to go and like your friend is like responsible for themselves, right? So you can really just show up and be in the moment and let go of all that responsibility stuff for a little while. So it's just beautiful. So anyway, I'm a big fan of women's trips, just saying. And so we had this really beautiful opportunity to go and spend time together. It was awesome. And so that's one of the things that I would throw out there to you to think about is I truly recommend thinking and considering who you travel with, because it really does have an impact on the journey that you're going to have. And she was so open. So we went and did a healing ceremony on the side of a, red mountain. We went and did an oracle card reading. She's never had one in her life. So she was just so in for it. Crystal shop, yes, please. Standing in a singing bowl, heck yes. Like, we were she was like in all the things. So it was super, super fun because it was just really open, and we like kind of had a couple things planned and then did a lot of going with the flow. We did not just like set ourselves an agenda. And we went there, and my idea was I really wanted to do some meditations. I was like, can I record a meditation for you guys? Can I get on Insight Timer? Can I do a meditation there? We were going to do a live. We were due to do a live on Friday that we were traveling. And I was like, I don't feel like it. And she didn't feel like it either. We just didn't feel drawn to doing it because it wasn't in the flow of our journey. And it would have felt like we would have crammed it in. Does that make sense? And that's why I'm talking about that. We were like, no, we're not going to cram it in. We're going to trust that our instincts are telling us that this is really, it's sacred time. We are on a sacred journey. And I could explain it till the cows come home, my friends, all the things we experienced, and it would never exactly land right with you because you weren't there. You'd get it. I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean viscerally in your soul, it will be different to hear a story than it would be to be there, of course, right? And that's where I say, I think it was really like showing up to the sacredness of that place. And for me to be carrying around a video camera and like every 5 minutes and slapping in my face and slapping in hers, it wasn't the right energy. And so we really respected that. And that's interesting because normally she and I would bust right through. We would like, we commit to this, we do it. Like she and I are very responsible about our work stuff in particular. We take that very seriously. And we were like, nope. I go, do you feel like? She, nope. Nope. Do you? Nope. We just would have crammed it in. That's not the energy that you want to bring to what you're doing, right? She and I are so about authenticity. And I think it's really important to show up and be like, just in the moment, in the zone. So that was another thing. I mean, I would really encourage you, I know in this day and age, and I'm all on social media, friends. I mean, a huge piece of my, brand is out there, right? And so I had every inclination before I got there, and I kind of knew it, boots down. I was like, I am not going to want to do this because it's not going to feel like it fits, and it didn't. And we had 2 days and a little bit. So for reference, had I been there for a week, had we had a beautiful space outside our hotel space or whatever, it would have been nice. Our veranda faced the parking lot. Like, here's our room, the door, the chairs, the veranda, and sidewalk, cars. So it was not pretty and it was not quiet. And so we didn't end up in a place where it really facilitated either. And so the only thing that I really did was that quick pop into Facebook and Instagram on top of a mesa while we were doing a hike, while Natalie was off meditating and just reflecting for her birthday. And so I hopped in and it was just like, okay, this is the moment. I can take a few minutes here and I'll share the beautiful space with all of you and talk you through kind of the journey, but we're not going to spend a lot of time. So that's kind of how it went down. And I think there's something really important about listening to that instinct that you've got, like really being in the moment. We sort of miss that anymore. We're so accustomed to carrying our phones and recording things and doing the thing, and it's like easy to like get in that zone, like, oh, I need an Instagram picture and I need it, it's like, but really being in the moment was what was sacred about that. And I am really grateful that we honored that. We didn't kind of give over to the responsibility sense of it, the brain perspective, like, oh, but we should, like, nope, this is your birthday. This is special. This is really sacred. And to like pull out a phone in the middle of all of that and try to cram something in was not the right answer. So I just want to encourage you to kind of sit with that and think about it a little bit, because it was really a beautiful lesson. Because I went in, I was like we were going to take professional pictures. We were going to do marketing stuff. I mean, we were literally like, I had outfits for it, for reals. And we got there, I was like, that's bullshit. That's not why we're here. And so I definitely know we leaned out of doing that. And that felt like exactly the right thing, right? So I've been like, are you a lean in or a lean out? Or sometimes we're going to lean into things and sometimes lean out. I went in with one mindset. I definitely leaned out from it. I'm like, nope. I totally 100% sense that is not the right thing to do on this trip. So anyway, best intentions. I was going to bring y'all with me. I was going to be in the thing. And really what I did was I preserved the sacredness of the time with Natalie and our experience there in our journey. And it's just almost indescribable. So I will say this. There is something about the space in Sedona. And it's not just that it's beautiful, because it is. And it's not just that the weather was nice, because it was. It's the whole journey and the energy of this space. There is a direct energy that feels incredibly balancing there. So it's very interesting to me, that perspective. And I wish I'd had a lot more time there, because it would have been really fun to get to more of the vortex energy spaces there. And we couldn't. We got to 2, which is pretty incredible, but I would have liked to have fit in 1 or 2 more had we had more time. So next time, it's okay. And I think the beauty again was the not cramming things in, that like honoring, like we went and did this and that was fun, and then we stopped off and we did this thing, and then that took some time, and so it was like very fluid, and so there was a lot of flow in our trip. And so anyway, that was just beautiful. It was a beautiful journey. And so that's not all the funny stuff that happened. I will tell you one funny story, because it's So we get into town Thursday and we are tired. I mean, friends, we have been on an airplane for hours and hours and hours, right? We had a layover, so it was a whole thing. It was fine. It's travel. And we get there, get our car, drive to the Sedona. It's just all the layers of stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. Get dinner, have a margarita each, exhausted. I mean, when I say exhausted, we were up since about 2:30 in the morning on Thursday morning, right? So, it is we are delirious. And we're driving home, and Natalie's driving, and I say something like, oh, I smell hot dogs. We have the most random conversations. We're driving in our resort area, random. I go, I smell hot dogs. I go, weird. She goes, oh, it must be my feet. And I go, and so in my brain, in my literal delusional brain, I'm thinking she took off her shoes and her feet smell like hot dogs. And I'm like, what? She starts laughing. She goes, no, because we got a Jeep Wrangler. It was super fun. It kicked out heat on your feet like nobody's. So she meant hot dogs, like her hot feet. I totally legit in my brain put this puzzle together as though she was driving with no shoes on and I was smelling her feet. And I was so grossed out for a minute. And so we're sitting there, we're driving, and we are sobbing. I mean, when I tell you we are so, and you've been there, you've been slap happy tired, like that's us. We are not drunk. We are literally delirious. We are so tired. So we are crying. So we get in the room and I'm trying to get my pajamas on. Okay. So Natalie's in the bathroom and she's changing, getting ready for bed. I'm changing. And I have this bra, this sleep bra, right? And it goes around my neck. It's like I forgot what the heck those are called, halter kind of style, right? That's going to go with my jammies. And I try getting on it, stuck. And I have parts here and a strap here and a strap. And I start laughing and Natalie can't see me. She's in the bathroom and I start crying. I'm sobbing. I'm like, I can't, I'm stuck in my bra. She's like, what are you doing out there? I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know what's happening. I cannot get my bra on. She's like laughing on the other side of the door. I tried like 3 times. I don't even know. Friends, all I can say, that was just the beginning of the rest of our lives. Welcome, Indigo Girls. Just a little shout out to them. That was their phrase in Galileo. Nope, wrong song. But either way, Indigo Girls. Oh my God, I was laughing so hard. I thought I was gonna barf. I am not kidding you. The tears ran down our faces more times than I can count. So many stories, so many. So I would tell you the funny ones. That's one of the hilarious ones that started the journey, but there was about 8 million more after that. So we'll leave it there. Okay. So that was one of my funny, silly stories for you guys. Okay, so I by the way, I did figure it out eventually, just saying. Okay, so I'm gonna share some of my faves with you guys. So one of my favorite things is this really cool bell I got. I'll play it for you guys. So pretty. Gorgeous, am I right? So I'm gonna put this in the studio on the wall, so when people come in, they can clear the energy with a little bell, which I absolutely love. It's gorgeous. That was a fun thing. Got some special things for fire ceremony. I got a really cool crystal grid, and it says, it's so beautiful. It says, may the followers of all religions and spiritual paths work together to create peace among all the people of the earth. And it's super cool. And so it's got little symbols for different religions and spiritual belief systems. And so I can use this as a crystal grid for the world. Isn't it beautiful? I was like, it looks like a lotus. It's all about peace and unity and love and oneness. And I'm like, yep, that she is going home with me. So that's one thing that I absolutely loved. I'm going to show you guys my cool rattle for fire ceremony. Super cool. So in shamanism and journeying, you can use drums, flutes, and rattles. And so I'll probably get my hands on a drum one of these days so I can sit and do the drum beat, because it's what you're doing is going into trance. And so the idea for journeying is that you're listening to this sound, and the sound is sort of the flow into trance. It's beautiful. And so I found a really cool rattle that I connected with, and that came home with me, which I absolutely love. I'm super excited. And this is a beautiful smudging feather. It's an eagle feather, and look at the colors, and isn't that super cool? It's just gorgeous. And then the blue on it I absolutely loved. So just really cool for smudging. So love that. And I got a goddess. This is a really cool goddess sculpture. And I wish I had remembered her name, so forgive me for not looking at this. She was gifted to me by an artist. So we fell in love with this older woman who has her own art studio in one of the shopping areas. And she has got this beautiful space full of all of her artwork. And so this came from her, and so did this beautiful tea mug. So these are things that I will always have to remember her by. We had the most beautiful connection with her, laughed our butts off, just deeply connected with her. And so super, super cool. She really reminds me of one of my very favorite clients of all time, who is also her same age. By the way, they have the same name. Just saying. And so it was this very synchronous, beautiful journey. And I think it's one of the reasons I love it so much is because she was like just right in my heart, because she reminded me of someone else that I love so much. I was like, this is so special, like so extra kind of. So super cool. I did get some oracle cards and tarot cards. And so I know for some people they wear them out. This was a really cool journey. One, I love spirit animals. That's like a whole thing I'm into. Again, sort of that shamanic vibe. This tarot card is really cool because this deck, the young woman Rachel who made this, and her name is Rachel Faribaugh. She's so cool. Just incredible art. There's nothing negative in this deck. So she said the way I intentionally created it was that there's no negativity in this tarot deck. So you can't get something that's bad or scary. And I was like, and I'm in, because that was always the thing I didn't like about the traditional cards. So this is my jazzy stuff I'm super stoked about. Have not even had the time. I have all these great things. I haven't had the time to kind of mess with them yet because it's been so crazy. Since we got home, we hit the ground running, getting home and just like into all the things. So that's kind of how that went. Got some cool sage from their sweetgrass, cedar, and desert sage wand, which I will love the smell of. I love, love, love. I love anything that has sweetgrass in it. That's one of my faves. And then I got white sage and lavender mix. This will be for fire ceremony and clearing. And maybe I'll set that out when, seasonal stuff too. And Three Sisters mix, which is sweetgrass, cedar, and desert sage again. Same idea, just in loose form. So those are things that if I was going to do a fire ceremony, I would sprinkle them in as kind of an offering, right? Like the earth, bringing the earth element into things. Love, love, love that. Okay, so this is my last thing. No, it's the healer stone. I'll show you this. Couple of small crystals. I didn't do as much as this gorgeous. This is actually called a healer stone. Loved, 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 loved. Never seen this before, so nabbed one of them suckers. I brought a lot of crystals with me to charge. So in some of the pictures, if you see them, I charged my crystals actually on the rock while we were doing our meditation. So that was super, super cool. And so I was excited to see something that was different. So this is my other. So we were in a store. We were in a store looking at touristy stuff because I wanted to find my daughter something. We walk in the store, and so Natalie and I swear a good minute, if you just are wondering, and if you know me, you already know this. So I like swearing is kind of in my heart, just saying. And so we walk in, and there's all of these mugs with the effort on them. So I will just, because I have to. So this was my favorite one I brought home. It was a stupid expensive mug. Stupid, okay? But I fell in love with it. So this gentleman next to me comes in, and he's reading them, and he's cracking up. And so pretty soon he and I are laughing together at these mugs and all this stuff because it all has F-bombs on it. It's hilarious. And his favorite one was, "Welcome to the fucking shit show." So sorry, everyone who is not a fan of swearing. And I'm crying. And he goes, my work wife, we say this every morning when we see each other. I go, that is the best. I mean, we're bonded. We're already friends. We could go have a cocktail, whatever, any minute. He's hilarious. So then this was mine that I love. Less fucking attitude, more fucking gratitude. So this is not a G-rated show, friends, today, but I thought I would share with you guys my magical mug that I can't wait to use. So there were so many things, and there's so many moments, and like I said, I just don't want to, this is already going to be a little bit longer than I really anticipated, and I kind of figured it might be if I was going to share some stories with you guys, and that's okay. But I just wanted to kind of share a little bit of that journey with you guys. And tell you again to always honor and respect the sacredness of a journey, and that if it doesn't feel like the right thing to take pictures or videos or get involved in it, trust me, your memories will carry you much further, and really listen to that instinct. Like, I think that's so important, and trust who you're going with. I think it's super important to pick someone to journey with that is really open and going to support and hold that up for you, because for you to have that kind of experience, if you're with people who don't really get it or aren't really interested in learning about it, it's the vibe is going to be very, very different. So my family would have probably croaked had I had them sitting in a meditation on the side of a mountain, just saying. And so I'm grateful to have that journey with Natalie where it was so intimate, one, because it was two of us with a guide, and able to share our feelings about our healings that we experienced and our feelings for each other, which was really beautiful, like something I just would not have anticipated. We were just talking about our gratitude for each other, and like just beautiful. There's no words to describe it. I would never do it justice. And so I just wanted to share that with all of you, that I think that that's such a crucial piece of your journey. Okay. With that being said, we're going to segue. March, flow. February can be a hard month. It's my least favorite month, minus Natalie being born in there. That matters. So now I have a reason to celebrate February, but I'll be honest, not my favorite month. And I sort of joke that it's a sandwich month. It's like, right, it's like February is like we're still in the thick of it for the winter. And March is like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's like has an identity crisis, right? Sometimes we think it's going to be 60 degrees and we're wearing shorts and the next day it snows 2 feet. This is our lives. Okay, now this is Midwest talking. But you get my drift, right? March is this weird in between where April starts to feel like April showers. Like it's raining. Usually the snow starts to be gone or is gone. It feels like spring is coming. So for me, March has always been this weird kind of month. I don't dislike it. I actually start to feel like we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel in March. But I also think we want to have this awareness around the energy of this month. So I'm going to talk a little bit longer about that because I want to be clear about kind of where I'm going with this. So the energy of March gets frenetic. And so I want you to think about our bodies that Natalie and I had talked about in our Women of Wellness stuff. And in one of the things that we did, the woo-woo in the brain, we were talking about seasonal energy. And so what I really want you to think about is we are much like the animals. We begin to exert fire again. So our fire gets smaller when we go into the winter, right? We start to hibernate much like a bear. It's a great example is the bear, right? That they eat heavier foods and they kind of get in the dark and they kind of hunker down. And so winter is a time for great self-reflection and quietude. And so it's really this honoring the darkness almost. So it's an invitation to do different kinds of work, okay? And we start hitting the spring, what happens is that we start to wake up again, like the earth, like the animals. We have the same energy style as those creatures do. And we just kind of forget. We kind of get doing our human thing and we're like, wah, da, 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 da. It's like if we really slow down and think about it, we're like, oh yeah, we are a reflection of all living things, right? And so we too begin to wake up. And I once had a friend that provided acupuncture, and she told me this. And I was like, because March was often the hardest month in my therapy office. So in all the years of my therapy office, people would often say, oh my God, it must be November and December must be the hardest month for you because of the holidays. And I'd say, oh, hell no. March, because we start getting cabin fever, because we start waking up again. And we start waking up again, but the weather and the sunlight and the time might not necessarily be in the same flow. So it's this weird, angsty, I feel like I'm waking up, but the weather isn't necessarily waking up with me. So I've got this energy that I've got to exude and I'm not quite sure what to do with it. So we almost have a chaotic experience internally going on. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean it can't work in our behalf. And I don't want anybody to go, oh my God, March is a mess. No, but I want you to be really self-aware of this energy that we have that kind of wakes up again in March. It's kind of rough. I'm just going to be honest. And so we can end up feeling kind of chaotic. We can end up, rather than feeling like, oh, hopeful and joyous about, it's, in the Midwest here, we get super stoked and pretty soon people are whipping out their shorts and it's 60 degrees one day and the next weekend, literally it could snow a foot. Okay, so it's like, psych, Mother Nature, she got a good sense of humor, just the rest of us sometimes don't follow. So I'm just saying that's kind of what it's like. And so there's this kind of chaotic energy that we can get. And so actually that's where I saw my clients struggle the most. The month of March, I will say, it was the one that I would be like sweating balls, like, oh dear, oh Jesus. Because every month, every time, it was like literally like clockwork, much like a full moon, you might imagine. That's what would happen in March. So I want to say that that's where I think I take my lesson from, is that experience in my office of humanity. But it was my experience too. It wasn't like, oh, the clients were just struggling and I'm different. No, we were all going through the same thing. So it's a human thing that we're doing this experience of like feeling that kind of frenetic style of like, what are we doing? And we're not quite here. We're not quite winter. We're not quite spring. So we're going to focus on flow. And the idea is that we're going to slow things down a little bit, right? And we're going to try to take time to pause in this weird middle stage and really be just self-aware. And so that's why flow came to mind for me this year, is that we are going to really work on fully living on the wave. So really watching and paying attention to the energy, paying attention to the notion of the things that are going on around us, how I'm feeling. So I really want you to spend some time differently this March. I want to give you give yourself permission to slow down, to take some breaths. I know some people are going on vacations and things like that. Good for you. Beautiful, beautiful spot to do this in. March is a great time to vacation, at least in the Midwest and things like that. For most of us, February and March are high traffic for our travel because we are needing to have that little breath of fresh air. So if you're able to do that, that's great. And if you're not, we still want to slow down. Okay, so you might have to be a little more intentional because you might get this like energy to get going, grow some shit. You know what I'm saying, right? I mean, everybody's been there, right? Like do some things. We want to do some home improvement. We get the fire to maybe spring clean. Like this is all of that stuff, friends. It's all renewal. It's all renewal. Okay, it's beautiful, and it's beautiful energy when we're insightful about it. Because otherwise, I think it can get away from us, and then that frenetic quality, that wanting to renew, that wanting to refresh, that that need can turn into something that feels very anxious. Okay, almost stressed. And sometimes maybe even depressed. So there is this kind of funkiness to it. And so I always like to call attention to that. Like, let's ride this wave maybe better than we have in the past. Okay. So our meditation today is really about that. It's going to be about riding the wave. If you've made it this far, you're a total trooper. I swear to God, we are going to get to your meditation very shortly. I might have to put a little note in the email to be like, hey, if you just want to skip ahead and not listen about Sedona, you can move to 30 minutes and whatever. But I wanted to share the story, and you are my people and this is my tribe. And so I felt really like, oh, I don't want to spend too much time in Facebook and Instagram talking about this stuff because people may or may not want to know it. But I feel like this is really fun and special to share it with you guys because that's really kind of like the insider's view of this trip, and the beauty that I took away. So we're going to meditate in a minute. I do want to say, I mentioned in your email some things that I healed, and I feel like that's something really personal. So sometimes I tell you guys lots of stories. I'm a pretty open book, if we're being really honest, minus something that feels like it might include someone else and things like that, so that I'm respectful of stories. But I want to say, on the side of that mountain, friends, I think what was really interesting was that I don't know that I realized some of the healing that needed to be revisited. And so I want to say this for those of you that, we've done some work. Oh my goodness, sorry. We've done some work with all sorts of different areas of our life, but in one of the ones is therapy, chakras, etc. And you're kind of like, what does that have anything to do with anything? Because one of the things that I know about healing is that we will have to heal again sometimes. And so I want to make that really clear and also share that lesson with you all, because on the side of that mountain, while I was in meditation, I was healing my different chakra centers. We were being invited to kind of release anything that we were holding there, and I didn't even know I was holding some things. And so one of the big ones that really came forward for me was the grief over my body. And Chloe came a month early. I was on bed rest. It was super scary. I almost died in childbirth. And it was scary. We didn't know how she was going to come into the world. We were, she was early. We were really scared about what that was going to be like. And she had to stay in the NICU. So I think we spent a week and a half to 2 weeks traveling back and forth to home to kind of help her continue to develop in the hospital. So she didn't come home with us like she should have or would have in a normal situation. And so it was a really scary time. And I think what I realized, just as one piece of, I want to share my vulnerability with all of you, was that I realized that I really was pissed off at my body, and I felt really betrayed by my body. Like my body didn't hold her the way that it could have, and she would have incubated a little bit longer and we would have been less scared, and she could have come home and we could have had this journey that I had in my mind as a mother. And so it was just a really chaotic and scary start to my relationship with her and in this whole situation, and then my body. And I don't think I forgave that. I think I was really like holding on to this idea that my body betrayed me. And so that became very clear in my meditation. I was like, oh, I have some work to do here. There was some work around my mom from past stuff where I realized that I really needed to forgive her again, but also I had to forgive myself because there was some really not gracious moments when I was a teen, when we were going through some of the thick of that I was not gracious at all. And so there were just people's relationships and things that I was kind of going through and filtering into, and I was like, oh, I really need to forgive myself. I need to forgive some people, but more than anything, I think I need to forgive myself. I really hung on to some shameful things about my own behavior, and those are ugly and they hang with us, or like dark shadows. And so for me, I was really like just sort of taken aback. I don't think I saw it coming. And it's not that I don't know we need to re-heal things from time to time, but I was like, oh, what? So there I'm sitting with tears running down my face, and I'm not sitting right next to Natalie, so she's just a little bit away, so she can't see and the guide can't see, but I'm having a minute. I mean, I'm just absolutely, and I'm flooded with light. I'm flooded on the inside with this light, beautiful energy and feeling so much clearer and light on the inside, literally like a cool air felt like it was coming in. She's like, you might feel warmth. I'm like, I wasn't, I was feeling the opposite. Right? So here's another thing about doing energy work is that my experience or what I might tell you, you might not fit for you at all, right? So mine was this really visceral, like light and cool, airy feeling inside my person. It was beautiful. And so it was clear to me that there was some incredible healing going on and things that I really don't even know that I thought I had to heal. So I want you to think about this. You need to make space. You need to make space for your own journey, in that you're going to have minutes where you're going to feel like you did the work and you have done the work, and you're going to have to circle back. For a million reasons, we can get re-triggered. Our bodies and our cells carry our memories. We can just have all sorts of things that kind of throw us for a loop again, and we might not even realize it. Okay. And so that's what I want to say to you guys. I got on the side of the mountain. I was like, not like, I was there for Natalie. I mean, I was all in for it. I knew I would get a healing, but I was like, just so excited to have her have this journey. I had an incredible journey. I wasn't even expecting it. And so that's the beauty of this, you guys, is that really, truly, I want to normalize the fact that we're going to have to heal again and again and again sometimes, but that going in and doing that work and that lightness, like I feel so much better having faced that on that side of that mountain. So like, that's huge for me. That's something I could leave behind. Will it come up again? Probably, maybe in a different format, maybe less, maybe something different, right? But I did that work. And so that's really what healing work is about. It's what energy work is about. And I just want to leave that little nugget for you guys as well and share that vulnerability. Like, this was a thing. This was really hard. I mean, like I was sitting on the crying about like crying and like just really embracing this sense of grief and this sense of shame and this sense of things that I've been carrying around. And I thought I was probably really okay. And I kind of wasn't. And I know that one of the most beautiful moments was when Natalie came out and she was sharing about her journey. I'm not going to share her personal story because that's not my place to do so. But some of her healing made me super cry. And so I knew she had been hanging on to something in a relationship for her that was really heavy and ugly and hard. And so for her to say, I feel like I was able to release that. I was just like, so moved. And so I'm going to tell you again, had I been sitting there with somebody else, had it been my husband or my daughter, and again, not that they couldn't have had a good experience or anything like that, it was the right person at the right time in the right situation. And it was so beautiful to share that with her. And I cannot say to you enough, get a buddy. If you're going to do a soul journey, take a buddy that you know is going to be invested in that, and so write that out with you. So if it's going to the motherland, take somebody that's fired up about that. If it's going to Sedona, take a friend that's fired up about that. I don't care where you're going. If it's a spiritual thing for you, pick a spiritual buddy. Okay, we need accountability in our lives, and spiritual buddies are just as important as the business ones, right? And the exercise ones, right? We have buddies for all sorts of stuff. And so we need spiritual buddies. Okay. All right, friends. You guys are troopers. I know this is a long one. I swear I will spare you and tell you guys that you don't have to start listening to my whole big spiel if you don't want. I'm going to grab a pen. I'm going to write down the time so I remember that you can start right about here and just do the meditation if you want. So we are going to get started. I invite you, of course, as always, to get settled and situated. I'm going to start my recording, and you guys don't have to do anything. So I just wanted to let you know that I was going to be doing that, and now I'm going to record that meditation so that you guys can, if you ever want to return to it, you would have it in my library in Insight Timer. And always, you should be able to come back and listen to the newsletter again anytime as well. So, I mean, just fast forward. Just fast forward. So thank you so much for listening, you guys. I know that was really long. And for those of you that wanted to hear, I just wanted to share that journey with you and why it's important and how it affected me, because I think we talk about spiritual journeys and it sounds ambiguous. And if somebody doesn't sit with us and kind of share the journey, share the vulnerability, share the experience, it's hard for us to necessarily understand what that looks like and feels like. And so I just wanted to share with you guys that it was pure magic. It was completely sacred. It felt like a journey I needed to go on, and whatever I gleaned, whatever download I got, whatever it was that I took and earned away from this whole thing was absolutely worth every single pound of money I spent. It was totally worth the time and energy we spent to get there. Every single thing was worth that. And so I think when we're on the other side of something, we can say that we know we totally had like a hashtag winning situation, right? Because like, man, feels so good. So, All right, you guys, we are going to talk about flow, trusting the flow to see abundance. Okay, so here we are, Jen, Laughing Lotus Wellness, and we are going to be doing a meditation on flow, trusting the flow to see abundance. So welcome so much for being here. I'm so grateful that you're here. And I am a transformational resilience coach, and I'm so excited to share this space with you and go through a meditation that is like near and dear to my heart, because it's all about getting in the flow and trusting the flow around us to bring us into abundance. And so we are going to be talking about that. And so what I want to throw out there is that I liked the practice of using the mantra Sat Nam, which is I am truth, or truth is my essence. And so I love this idea. So you can start to sink and settle here if you would like. You're welcome to close your eyes, find a comfortable seat or lie down. Whatever is accessible to you is great. I'm just going to do a little chatting before we enter into the meditation to kind of set the stage, if you will, for what we're talking about today. And so I just said, we are not an accident. We are not an accident. We are not random. And we can stand in the truth of ourselves. And when we do so, we get in the flow of alignment. And that is where the abundance is. So when we're listening to ourselves, our instincts, we trust ourselves, we listen to the knowing, we reflect and trust the journey that we feel like we're on. We're listening to the insight and intuition that's speaking to us. And every time I've done that, I feel in alignment. And if anybody's done that, you can give me a big shout out. I think there's something so incredibly beautiful about feeling aligned. And it's almost like magical, like all the magical things that need to come in, the people, the situations, the journeys, every single thing, every single right thing, friends, comes right into play. It is just magic. And that's why I want us to think about why flow is so important, because it's about the trust. It's about the giving over to that. It's about the living in the truth. And when I live in my truth and I trust myself, I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. And then stuff will start to come in for us. The right things will show up, right? It's this really incredible symbiotic sort of experience. It's so cool. And so it's our truth to be the best version of ourselves, okay? And so as we begin our journey today, I invite you to make space for this time in our practice together. So whatever that means for you, taking great care of your body, your mind, listening to the body of the day, the body of the moment. And so just trusting whatever you need will show up, and trusting and listening to your own body and your own needs, as always. So we are going to just get settled, start noticing the flow of the breath. I think it's very important that we want to start just plugging deeply into the flow of the breath. I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. And just allowing yourself the time to kind of sink and settle here. And going in, we're now checking for the state of your mind. Taking note of any sensations, feelings, thoughts, and boxing them up and placing them right outside your room, so that this time is for you and about you. And again, finding that even and fluid breath here, noting the flow of the breath as you inhale and exhale. Inhaling in again and exhaling that out. We might even use that Sat Nam, I am truth, as we inhale in, saying Sat in our minds. Exhaling out Nam. Inhaling in Sat. Exhaling out Nam. I am truth. And just noticing the flow of the breath here, making any final adjustments as necessary to your body, your props, clothing, your space, whatever it is you might need. And as always, I create a group sankalpa or an intention for our practice. You're always welcome to do your own or borrow mine. We always say it 3 times to set it all the way into all the layers of our being, all the way into that center space of bliss. So we started that very outer layer, and then we're going to move inward. So for today, our Sankalpa is this: I am grateful to live into my truth, to feel the flow of opportunity around me that connects me to the abundance available to myself and others. I am grateful to live into my truth, to feel the flow of opportunity around me that connects me to the abundance available to myself and others. I am grateful to live into my truth, to feel the flow of opportunity around me that connects me to the abundance available to myself and others. And we're going to spend some special time just being really aware of that sacral chakra space. The sacral chakra space is commonly associated with the element of water, and it's perfect for talking about flow. It's the space of creativity and sensuality and all of our healthy desires. So it's this beautiful space to spend some time paying attention to, bringing awareness to. And so I invite you to imagine a healing orange energetic light in the belly, the womb for a woman. It is a space of water energy, the heart of creativity, sensuality, and healthy desires. We also look at the flow of energy in this space like a river. We need the energy to flow from this space into the other energy centers and out into our life. Inhaling, I am. Exhaling, truth. Inhaling, I am. Exhaling, truth. Inhaling, I am. Exhaling, in the flow. Inhaling in, I am. Exhaling, in the flow. Inhaling in, I am. Exhaling, living truth in the flow of abundance. And now I invite you to a journey on a river. Orange canyon walls and warm golden light playing off the water. Just noting the river movement for a moment, slowly dipping your hand down into the cool water, just feeling the movement of that water through your fingers. And now as you sit in the raft on the river, you can also feel the movement of the water flowing beneath the raft, the sense of current underneath your body, and you feel so connected to this. As you push off, there is a sense of anticipation, but also of a letting go, knowing that the river will take us where we need to go, that the abundance is in the allowing and the trusting of the river. We see the connection between our role in the raft to help maneuver through the waters, but being deeply connected to the flow of the river of energy beneath us. When you place your oar deep into the water, down into the rocks, you can feel the resistance, the struggle that it can create. And that this only makes the raft spin and keeps us from reaching the bends in the river to see the next spectacular scene that Mother Nature's created for us. So just like in life, when we lift that oar, when we use it with discernment and mindful placement, we can continue in the river experiencing the rush of excitement, the stunning beauty of nature all around you, carved canyon walls, cool spray of water, the sound of the movement at times fast and full of joy, and other times slow and meandering, but full of realized quiet for reflection. And as you are here in the river, safe and sound, taking a moment to really feel with all your senses in this journey, just breathing here. Inhaling in, I am. Exhaling out, in the flow. And now taking a moment, applying an area that you want to grip onto, where you might struggle and see yourself float right on top of it. It is the river and you are navigating it with discernment, but not pressing the oar in and hoping for change. You can see that even though it may be challenging, there is abundance when you step into things with flexibility and fluidity. That you shine in your best truth when you can release and let go. In this mindset, take a moment and pause to feel the abundance from when you allow yourself to flow through something, the ease, the release, the fluidity of trusting your own truth, your own knowing. And again, taking a moment to connect with something that feels like a challenge, and imagine that raft comes up to wrap around you securely, like a gigantic hug, and that raft is made up of your spirituality, your faith, your deep connection to all the people around you, all the things in your world that make you feel anchored and safe. And that helmet and the vest you're wearing and the oars you have, they're your tools, and your tools are made up of things like your wisdom, your experiences, the stories, the places you go for support. You have the tools to navigate the river. And so as you sit here riding the raft, sitting in the current of that river as it flows beneath you, imagining the struggles that are in that river, the river of life, knowing that sometimes it will be full of joy and excitement and adventure, and sometimes it might even be scary. And sometimes it's incredible and it's full of beauty and it's slow and it's flowing so easily. But really imagining in that moment what it's like to float right on top of that. I can see it, I can feel it, I can have this experience, and yet I am riding on the top of it. I can choose how to navigate this river. And seeing the deep truth and knowing in that. Giving yourself a moment to just really feel that felt sense of that experience. You are so capable. You are so anchored into that raft. You know what to do. Trusting yourself to navigate the river of life, going with the flow. Knowing that these things are happening for you. And even not being able to see around the bend. We know at some point we will float back into the edge of the river where it meets the land with a soft swoosh across the sand. And we will once again be on firmer ground. Even in those moments, what is right is there for us, flowing in the universal knowing, the universal truth. Pausing here, I invite you again to take a few moments and imagine the orange and red canyon walls sculpted by time, wind, and water. The beautiful river, the sensation of the mist on your skin, and the river moving beneath you, and yet the riding on top of it, knowing what to do, letting go, just taking in these sensations and the scenery as you breathe, just enjoying this moment. And now you begin to see that the canyon opens back up ahead, and there's the shoreline. You help paddle the raft up and onto the shore and feel as the raft connects with the sand and the stones beneath you. Pausing here to reflect on the letting go, the flow, feeling lit up by that radiant orange light and the golden glowing water, knowing that you will take these lessons with you and into all the areas of your life, both easy and challenging, and noting the abundance of living into your truth, the real essence of your being that knows that we must let go to achieve true knowing, true experience, and true bliss. And returning to that Sankalpa once again, borrowing mine or visiting yours again. I am grateful to live into my truth, to feel the flow of opportunity around me that connects me to the abundance available to myself and others. I am grateful to live into my truth, to feel the flow of opportunity around me that connects me to the abundance available to myself and others. I am grateful to live into my truth, to feel the flow of opportunity around me that connects me to the abundance available to myself and others. And just sitting in the vibration of that knowing, that sense of the water element and the river, and in that sacral chakra, sacred space, trusting ourselves, knowing our truth, trusting the process, living into alignment, going with the flow. As the breath itself flows in and out through the nostrils, connecting with that even and fluid breath, slowly coming back into your space and your body, shifting in from our journey into your body again. Flowing into abundance back into the earth. And just paying attention for a moment to how you're feeling. And now paying attention to your breathing and your body. Your breathing and your body. Your breath and your body. The way your body feels light and full of abundance. Gently beginning to rub your thumb across the ends of your fingertips, wiggling fingers and toes. Welcoming that body back from the journey, back from the river. pausing for a moment here and considering how you will take this felt sense of being in touch with your ability to flow towards abundance, how the practice is like rafting. We have the choice of how we want to move through things. I invite you to bring your hands to heart center in a prayer position. As we close our practice, I honor you for our journey together in this time and space, in the sacred space of our soul river journey. The flow of abundance and truth in me honors the flow of abundance and truth in you, making us one. Namaste. This is Jen with Laughing Lotus Wellness. As always, blessing, love, and light to you until next time. Well, friends, thank you for being such great sports about allowing me to record while I'm doing this. That will make my life just a click easier. I am so grateful for you staying. If you did, if you are just taking in the meditation, so grateful you took that in. Again, hope you have a beautiful experience of it. I hope that that's something that was good for you and your soul, and that you might come back and use it again sometime. That's always the goal with these, is that we might recycle and find that our experience is very, very different from time to time when we sit in meditation, even the ones that we feel like we've already listened to. So this is one that's just, like I said, really born of my heart. And what I really want to say is that for me, I created this before I ever went to Sedona. So I think this is just this incredible, again, synchronicity of creating this journey for us in a river, and tying that all into this fluidity and this flow, and how that's like obviously where I was going to go in the month of March. That was very planful, but going to Sedona and having experiences that felt like riding that river. Like each and every moment was like we were deciding from one moment to the next what we wanted to do and how we were going to experience things. And that synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity was coming in and telling me that we were so aligned in being there. That in our oracle card readings, both of us heard, you are on the right journey. You are on the right path. You are doing exactly what you need to be doing. And how incredibly healing and beautiful and loving that feels. And so for me, it's just, it was a sort of beautiful thing to come back to this meditation, knowing I created it before I ever even went to Sedona. And it's all the things I would have said to you had I done it when I came back. And so I think there's this really beautiful piece of this that I just want to share with you all. Is like, this just was such a gorgeous piece of the soul, if you will, and so neat that it fits so perfectly with going on this beautiful soul journey to Sedona. So I'm grateful you hung in there with me, and I hope you enjoyed your meditation. And I can't wait to see you guys in April again. We'll be back doing some magical something. I encourage you to follow along. I'm an Insight Timer every Monday. This entire month is dedicated to flow. It's Mondays, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Live. It's glorious. The community there is stunning. It's so much fun, and we stay in after and we talk about all things, and it's so great. So I definitely invite you to be there. There's all kinds of stuff that's going to be rolling out here in short order. I can't announce everything yet because there's some things that we're tweaking to kind of finalize in the journey, and then I will be letting you guys know some exciting news. And I am offering coaching. So that is a new thing that I'm starting to begin to kind of delve deeper into. And so that's going to be something that's definitely available as well. And so you'll definitely hear me talking more to that point. But there'll be events and things coming up as well. And so I'm super stoked to bring that to you all. Right now, I'm in sort of a holding pattern while I get into my business coaching group and starting to do that more and taking care of all of the things to keep the business rolling. And so there's kind of a lot of irons in the fire right now, which seems to be the way that I roll. But I love it and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I just want you to know that I'm so deeply grateful for you guys, that again, you guys are my tribe, you are my people, you are so dear to me. And I took you all with me to Sedona energetically. And I was on those mountaintops and I was breathing in that beautiful fresh air, and I was thinking of each of you with me in that space. And I know I made a definite commitment to myself to go there and do a retreat and hold a retreat there, because we need to share space there, all of us. And so when that time comes, I hope that you'll be able to come and join me and have your own experience, and just know that I will be blissed out for days watching all of you have your own journey, that I don't even need to have one, because I'll be so stoked watching you have yours, that I will just like live on like cloud nine, just being able to journey and be with you and honor your sacred journey in this. It's so cool. So I can't wait to see some of you have your own experience and share in that healing space. It's so incredible and it's so powerful. And so I would be honored to share that space with you someday down the road. So someday we're going to get there. A wink, wink. I'm working on it. I was on top of the mess and I'm like, okay, I hear you. I'm working on it. So it's coming, friends. It's coming. It'll be there. But I just wanted to tell you guys, I love you guys. Happy March. Let's see what we can do with this idea of flow. Okay. So this idea of flow is writing the things that are happening for us and deciding, using tools and our raft and our sturdy things that hold us up in the world, right? There's all this symbolism in this idea of river rafting. And I want you to really kind of take these ideas and through the month of March, see what happens when you imagine that you can ride just above these things that are happening. Knowing you've got tools that you can maneuver, whatever you need to do, feeling empowered, living in your truth, living into alignment, and let's see how things show up for you. Just come back and tell me how it goes. Just saying. It'll be so good. And I can't wait to hear how it is for you in the month of March as we settle into this idea of flow. So you'll see me around. You'll hear me talking. You know how it rolls. But I really wish you guys all a beautiful March. And like I said, as things come together and gel, I will be posting and letting you all know what's happening. So anyway, blessings, love, and light to you guys. Thanks so much for your patience with recording. I deeply appreciate it. It makes my life a little easier. Oh, all the things. Hashtag all the things. This is my life. But I love it so much. So anyway, thank you for your patience. I really appreciate it. And so you guys take care and reach out if you have any questions. Stay in my socials with me. It's so fun to have people show up. I deeply appreciate that. And so I hope you will join me there. I'm in Clubhouse. I'm doing some events there. I'm doing Transformational Tuesday mornings for people that are in business and want to be more mindful. That's soul-based practice. Love it. Going to be doing a yoga nidra one, I think. So that's going to be super cool. That's going to be in Clubhouse as well. So staying tuned. I will list them in here, but I always want you guys as well to kind of just like, you know, keep the antenna up as I'm out there. I am always grateful when you guys can show up in community and be with me, because I just love sharing space with you guys. Okay, friends. Let's kick it in March. I can't wait to hear how you guys do with your flow. So as always, blessings, love, and light to you guys. We'll see you next time.